Hey guys, Phil Harris here. I wanted to make a super quick video about the biggest lie in the DJ industry at the moment. And that is that the biggest artists on the world are booked because they're the best DJs. Unfortunately, that's just not actually the case, and I'm finding it more and more from speaking to lots of different DJs out there at the moment. A lot of them are hitting a ceiling with their DJ career because even though they're at the top of their game with DJing, as soon as they start getting interest from people say, okay, cool, can you send over some of your tracks? And they're like, no, I'm a DJ, I play other people's tracks. But this is the weird thing, because DJing has taken off in such a huge way. Now, if you go and look at the biggest DJs on the planet, they're actually just booked to play because people like the songs they've made. Think about it. Think of the big guys here. Tiesto, Martin Garrix, David Guetta, Marshmello, any of these guys. Well, if I mention any of these artists, you probably know songs that they've made. In fact, if you think about it, you only know songs they've made. You've probably never seen them do anything technical behind DJ decks. The reality is they're not doing anything technical behind DJ decks. These guys are now just artists in their own right, and they get booked to play big shows and get paid huge amounts of money because people want to turn up and see them play their own tracks. In the same way, years ago, people used to turn up and watch bands perform their tracks. Now people turn up because they just want DJs to perform the songs that the DJs have already produced in the studio. Now, I'm aware a load of you are probably reaching for that button to close this tab because it's like, oh, I don't want to know anything about this. But actually, I want you to focus on this one thing I'm about to show you now. And that is that a lot of DJs out there feel like production is just something that they can't do. It's like, oh, well, that's what those guys do. They're musicians. I'm not a musician. I don't know how to do this. But here's the thing. If you're the type of DJ that's ever listened to a track and had an idea and thought, wouldn't it be awesome if this song sounded like this? Or if this track, someone did a remix of it in this style over here. If you're that type of DJ where that kind of stuff has crossed your mind, then you're a lot closer than you actually think. And let me explain this to you. David Guetta, Tiesto, Martin Garrix, all of these guys didn't invent the music they get paid millions to play. None of them invented this EDM, big room house or festival style music. They didn't invent it. They listened to other artists, listened to what they were doing, and began to borrow ideas and concepts from other artists out there to start making their own music. And they've done that enough now. They've now kind of created their own sound within the industry. Their own sound, their music has a certain vibe and energy to it. For example, if I played you a Martin Garrix track now, but you didn't know it was a Martin Garrix track, you'd probably be able to go, this sounds like a Martin Garrix track, right? Because his music's now got a sound that people equate to him. But if you go right back to the beginning, he was just emulating what other artists have done. And I have to tell you, this took me about 4 years to actually figure out when I started producing my own music. But without rambling, what I want to start doing is showing you some awesome examples. So look, I'm making this track at the moment with an artist called Trenon. He's actually somebody I actually taught originally. He's now making awesome music, so we now make some tracks together. So I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go and check him out on Instagram. But let me just show you this, okay? This is a track that we're currently working on. I'm sure you'll recognize the track. It's called How Deep Is Your Love by Calvin Harris. It's this track here.
I want you to breathe me. Let me be your air.
Right, it's this track here, and we were like, we want to make a future rave track out of this. Now, future rave is something that's kind of relatively new. It's this big project that David Guetta's now doing with this guy called Morton, and you recognize it, it's this kind of track. Right, it's this kind of sound. And so we were like, right, we want to make a future rave track and make this Calvin Harris track into a future rave track. So we didn't go in and reinvent the wheel. We didn't sit there and just guess what needed to be done. We did what these huge artists do, and we went and listened to future rave tracks to go, well, what elements are they putting in their tracks that we can start to put into our tracks to borrow these ideas? Not steal, but we're just modeling what we're doing and what we know already works and what we already know is successful. Let me give you an example of this. So if we go to this track here, at the beginning you can listen to it, it sounds a bit like this. So we listened to it, like, what elements? Well, they got the vocals. We've already got the vocals. Next thing we could hear was this kind of thick, warm kind of bass line. Right, so we just went and got our own kind of thick bass line that sounded like this. Okay. Then we could also hear this kind of high arpeggio type sound. And don't worry if you don't know any of the terms, just listen to what I'm showing you here, okay? So listen to this sound. This was the sound we put in our track because we could hear a similar sound in there. So I'm going to play this sound, then I'm going to go back and play the original track that we're emulating, and you'll hear the same sound. Now have a listen to this track. And let me go to this bit here, it might be a bit clearer. You hear that blip, blip, blip? We heard that, we're like, right, we're going to steal that, and we're going to start putting that sound into our track. So we've got that warm kind of thick bass, we got the vocals, we got that high thing, and then we've also got this almost, it sounded a bit like chords in the background. So we went and took these chords. So we took this sound here, we added this piano sound, so together they sounded like this. And then we added this really thick bass. And then when you add it together with the vocals, you got this. Oh, let me add the vocals in like that.
I want you to breathe me. Let me be your air. Let me roam your body freely. No inhibition and fear.
You see how awesome this is? This is a remix of a track that already exists. It's now got a completely different vibe to it. And I didn't invent any of this stuff. We're just modeling what already works. And I'm going to show you how freaking awesome this is. We basically took this all the way through to this drop here. Now, again, with the drop, we were just like, right, what kind of drops do we already like? What drops do we already know exist? So we took these three drops. This one here. This drop here. Notice how those two sound almost identical? David Guetta would have made a crap ton of money out of each of these tracks. They're very similar. Get what I'm getting at here, guys? This is stuff that can be emulated and recreated. And then another drop which I really like, which is Will Sparks. So we took these elements, we went and we found a kick drum that sounded a bit like this. Okay, and then went and found a lead that sounded a little bit like this. And you can see we literally just drew these notes on here. Let me open this up so you can see it. Now watch this play. Right, now you put that big drum together and those leads together, you get a sound that sounds like this. Which is what we recreated based on these drops we already liked the sound of. Down here we just took similar elements. So now you got this absolutely freaking drop that basically sounds a bit like this. You see how freaking awesome this is, guys? And hopefully, I'm aware that there's a lot of people out there who are probably extremely pumped at what I'm telling you here and showing you. And you're like, whoa, this is incredible. Like, you're telling me that this is possible to just learn how to pick apart people's music and recreate it. Yes, that is exactly what I'm telling you. This stuff, you think is going to take you years to be able to do this. This is stuff that if you follow along with certain techniques, you'll be able to pick up really, really quickly. But the main thing, the main message that I'm trying to get across to you in this video is if you feel like you're hitting a ceiling with your DJing and you want to be able to open up new doors, You have to start creating your own music. You have to start growing a fan base on the music you're making. The way you do this is you build a signature sound, a sound that people can equate to you. You see, if you make a track that people like and they're like, oh, who's this guy? I'm going to go and listen to this person more. They come back and listen to more of your tracks. All of your tracks have got that similar kind of sound. They will become a fan of yours. And music is so viral that if you do this well and you do this right, you'll grow a huge fan base. Once you've got that huge fan base, you don't even realize how many doors are going to be open for you in the world of DJing when you've got thousands of people who want to come and see you play like the top DJs on the planet. And the secondary thing which I want to teach you and show you is that this stuff is possible. If you've got those ideas, all you have to do is learn how to use programs like Ableton, that's what I'm using here, learn some basic theories and basically learn how to start to pick apart music and put it back together. And you can do this exact same thing. So hopefully this has opened your eyes to what is possible and how freaking awesome it is to start making your own tracks. Now, check it out. If you are right at the beginning of your journey and you're like, but Phil, I literally don't know anything. I can't tell you how complicated that program looks. I don't know any of this stuff. I can actually teach you how to do this. But the thing is, I can't just teach you by giving you a course like I would with my beginner course. I'm going to actually work with you to show you how to do this stuff. So if you're interested, open up my Instagram. I'm going to put a link up on the screen. I'll link directly below this video as well. My Instagram is @PhilHarrisMusic. And just DM me the word main stage if you're interested. I'm picking a handful of producers and teaching them everything I know about producing professional sounding music just like this and helping people turn into artists. And I'm interested in speaking to a couple of you guys. So if you're interested, DM me the word main stage. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I might send you a bit of free training as well, just to help you understand some of these theories in a bit more detail. And then eventually I actually want to speak to you on the phone. And if you're a good fit, I'm going to work closely with you for an entire year to teach you how to do this stuff, okay? How to take these ideas you have in your head, turn them into tracks that sound just as good as any other track out there. So if you were to print them off your computer as an MP3, put them into your DJ decks and play them from a David Guetta track into your track, nobody would have a clue that the track you're playing had been made by somebody who's been making music less than a couple of months compared to these guys who've been making music for years, because you are going to be learning how to beg, borrow, steal ideas from these guys to make music that sounds just as good as theirs. Hopefully this all makes sense. Hopefully this has pumped you up. Let's listen to that drop one more time. And there you go. If you're pumped, DM me main stage to my Instagram. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was kind of eye-opening for you and I've explained a little bit of stuff that you may or may not have already known. And I will see you in tomorrow's video. Ciao.